One of the easiest things you can do to increase your score on the GRE is to expand your vocabulary. That's what this video is going to be all about. You can either think of it as the ultimate test of your advanced vocabulary, or you can sit back, relax, and just watch as I attempt to get each question right, and you can pause the video and add the words that you don't know onto your word list, as I've described in previous videos. Please do also check out my How to Memorize Vocab video and my other Test Yourself Against a Tutor vocab videos. But this one's going to be the ultimate. Let's get straight to it. This website is gre.graduateshotline.com. I'm not affiliated with them, but do check it out. You get the word, you get 4 different options, and you should get some context down below. Obviously, you might need to pause the video as you're going along, and I recommend actually anytime you come to a word that you don't understand, pause the video and add it to your word list using a mnemonic, as I've described in previous videos. For example, this word here is extricable, which means, I believe, that can be free. You can get out of it. And if I was trying to remember that word, I would think of the word exit. You can get out of it, you can get out through the exit, therefore it's extricable. So you could add that to your word list. Clearly you're going to need to pause the video to do that, but using this method you could potentially add hundreds of new words from this video. You're going to see my mistakes. I won't necessarily know every single word. You can judge yourself against me. I did get 170 in the GRE, but I'm not perfect. You might well beat me in this test. Without further ado, let's get started. Let's see if I'm right. Extricable, that can be freed. I am. So I've got my percentage up here that 55% of people got that right out of 10,276. So it was quite a hard word. Almost half of people didn't know that word. What about this one? Conundrum. That's a riddle or a dilemma, an enigma. It's a riddle. I can't understand that conundrum. It's a dilemma. 67% of people got that right. So more people understood that word. Grovel. That is to crawl or humble yourself. It's embarrassing. You're begging. You're groveling. Again, you've got the context down here if you want. So 60% of people knew that. So again, quite a hard word. Obfuscate. To make obscure. To muddle. If you're trying to confuse someone, you might try to obfuscate them. Flop. That's to fail. The movie flopped. Probably most people are going to get that right. Yep, 79% of people got that right. Credulous. That's someone who's ready to believe things. They're ready to give it credit when maybe it doesn't deserve it. Only 68% of people got that. To plead. That's to plead your case. This is a bit tougher. Not the first one. It could be to address a court of law, to plead your case, to state or put forward as a necessary condition. I don't think so. Plead normally means to beg for something. I plead you for help. But here they're using the secondary definition, which is, I believe, to address a court as an advocate. State or put forward as a necessary condition. I don't think so. Let's see if I'm right. I got that right. Surprisingly, also 68% of people got that right. Maybe other people know what I don't know. Anyway, extol, to praise highly. I extolled her virtues. Sadistic. That's cruel. That's someone who enjoys inflicting pain. Sadism, sadistic. 81% of people got that, so it's kind of an easier word. To balk. That is to not want to do something. Not sent. Movement, to carry lightly. Person appealing not to reasons. I don't believe so. Purposely get on the way of. It's an obstacle. To purposely to get on the way of. Some of this writing here is not very grammatical, so you'll just have to maybe trust my definitions a bit more than some of these. Not that I'm saying I'm going to always be right, but the way they've phrased it is not very clear. I'm going to go for obstacle because I don't think it's any of the others. But yeah, that's why only 45% of people get it. In general, to balk at something is to think that, oh, I don't want to do that, to balk at it. Libel, a statement that damages reputation. Oh, he libeled me. It's kind of like a lie. Oh, you're defaming me. You libeled me. 62% of people got that. Veneration, regarding with deep respect. I venerate my idol. That person is owed a lot of veneration, usually an older person. Aversion, a strong dislike. Like to avert your eyes, aversion, you don't like it. Grandiloquent, using pompous words. The word itself is grand or grandiloquent. It's a very grand or grandiloquent word, isn't it? Very pompous. Only 69% of people got that. So far, so good. 100% record. I will not be able to keep it up. I doubt it. But let's try for as long as I can. To extort. To obtain by threats of violence. You can't get it in the normal way, the legal way, so you extort it. Almost like blackmail. Egress. To leave. It's the way out. It's the exit. I'm guessing not as many people will get that right. It's quite an uncommon word. To egress is to find the way out. Yeah, only 56% of people knew that. Veneration, okay, again. Hopefully not too many repeated words. Intransigence, unwillingness to compromise. That person is so intransigent. They're just not willing to change. They're so stubborn. You can think of trans as movement, like transport, and intrans, someone not willing to move, not willing to transport themselves. Sagacious, I did this in another video, it's wise, having sound judgment. Vain, someone who thinks too highly of themselves. Without use, result, conceited. I don't know what that first, oh right, so they're doing the two different definitions. So one definition of vain is, it was pointless. Oh, his efforts were in vain, they didn't achieve anything. So without use or result. But the other definition of vain is someone who's kind of arrogant and thinks they're really beautiful or whatever. That's someone who's conceited. Two definitions there. Slightly lower percentage got that. Timid, I think almost everyone's going to get that, right? Someone who's shy and timid. Yeah, 82% of people. Servile, like a slave, like a servant. Servile. Again, pause the video if you need to write these definitions down or add them to your word list with a mnemonic. Ignominious, that's dishonorable, undignified. Ignominy is shame that's brought on you, maybe after a humiliating defeat. Yeah, I thought so. A slightly lower percentage got that. To suffocate, to have difficulty in breathing. I think most people get that, 84%. A quack is someone who is pretending to be a doctor usually. Quack medicine is fake medicine, doesn't actually work. It's only 66% of people got that. Ooh, now, first hard one. Chary, I don't even know how to pronounce it, chari. I believe that means wary. Don't think it's transparent, gauzy, irritable, possibly as an installment. I'm going to go for cautious or wary. It's kind of like the combination of cautious and wary. Chary. But I'm not 100% sure. I was right. Yeah, only 53% of people got that. It's a hard word. Profuse. That is abundant. There is a profusion of flowers. I'm 90% sure of that. Profuse, abundant. Let's check. Correct. Stride, to walk with long steps. You strode along the avenue. I stride down the street. Mischievous. Causing mischief. That was kind of easy. You're mischievous, you're causing harm. 78%. Lionize, to treat someone as a lion with respect and deference. Only 58% of people got that. That's interesting. Lionize might be a word to add to your word list. Again, all of these could come up in the GRE. Emaciate, to make thin and weak. You look starved. To make thin and weak. Obfuscate, we've done already. If you see a word that we've done already, you could pause the video and test if you remember what the definition was. Expedient. Ooh, expedient. Doubtful, uncertain, likely to be useful. I think likely to be useful. I always thought expedient meant like expedited delivery, but I think I'm getting confused. Expedient I thought meant like rushed, but apparently it means likely to be useful. I guess that kind of makes sense. Oh, she was very expedient. She helped us out a lot. Okay, I think I go along with that. Yeah, only 50%. I think that's the lowest one so far. Only 50% of people got that right. Libel, a statement that damages reputation. To repel, that's to cause dislike. You can also think of it as defeating something, like the army repelled the enemy army, okay, to defeat it or push it back. But it can also be thought of as to cause dislike. That smell was repellent. It repelled me, caused me dislike. Trepidation is kind of fear or hesitation. They're saying it's alarm, an excited state of mind. I think that's not as accurate as it could be. I think trepidation is hesitation, fear, caution. Yeah, only 50% of people got that right or knew that. Accretion is gathering up something. The growing of separate things into one. A bit like another fancy word, amalgamation. Gathering disparate things together. It's an accretion. That was a hard one. To quaff, to drink something. He quaffed his wine. She quaffed her beer. Pucker. Ooh. Pucker. I think that's to wrinkle. Like to pucker your lips. Like you're about to kiss someone, I think. I don't use that word at all, but I'm going to go for that. Yeah, only 50% of people got it right. Warrant. That is authority, a written order. For example, there might be an arrest warrant, a written order for your arrest, or a warrant to search someone's house. I found that word hard to pronounce, warrant. I think I got a bit of a lisp with the letter R, but anyway, that's what a warrant is. 81% of people got that. I guess a lot of people watching American TV would hear about an arrest warrant. That's why a lot of people get it right. Defer, to postpone. I deferred my exam until November because I wasn't confident. To postpone it, put it back. Stipple. Ooh, that's tough. I'm going to go with paint with dots. I only just about know that. I think I remembered it with the double P's as being like points. Stipple, points. Paint with dots, I just about know that. Yeah, only 47% of people got that right. Entice. To entice someone is to lure them. She was enticed with an amazing job offer. Incumbents are the people currently in power. The current officials. So if someone's holding a seat in Congress, they are the incumbent. Cogitate. That's a hard one. It means to think about something. Cogitation. Thinking. To cogitate. Not a word you're going to use that often, but could come up in the GRE. To cogitate is to think about something. Reconcile. To bring back together. Like conciliation, and re is like again. To bring people again together in conciliation. To settle a quarrel or restore peace. Roll. Yeah, this is an interesting one. Obviously, some people are going to know that it means to, like, do a somersault or whatever, like to roll forward on your knees. Other people would know, like, a spring roll or a, sandwich roll, like with bread that you're going to eat. But not as many people might know that you can also think of it as a roll call, like a list of names that you read out. So, for example, he checked the company roll and the employee's name was there. I thought so. Only 56% of people knew that. Intransigence, we've done before. Do you remember what it is? Unwillingness to compromise. Not willing to transport yourself. Intransigence. Prodigious. You create loads of stuff. It's enormous. It's prodigious. Just check the other definitions. A lover of art or science, no. Without refinement, gross, no. Prodigious normally means just huge in quantity, a prodigious amount of talent. Contiguous, that's a hard one. I'm guessing a lot of people will get this wrong. It means without any gaps, like the contiguous United States. It's not counting Alaska or Hawaii, just the bits that are touching each other. So touching your neighbor or near. No, 61% of people got that. To cadge, uh-oh, I think we've found the first word I don't know. Cadge. Oh my goodness. I don't think it's a written order or a guarantee. I don't think it's a written order requiring a person to appear in law court, so I've got a 50-50 chance. Is it shameless immorality? I'm not going to cheat and look down at the definition. It's either to beg or shameless immorality. It feels more like a verb, doesn't it? To cadge, to beg, rather than a noun, shameless immorality. So I'm going to go with A just on that basis through elimination. And it was right, and only 47% of people get that. So there's a new word for me, to cadge, to beg. You know how I'm going to remember that? Probably because cadge sounds almost a bit like beg. Is it just me? Cadge, beg? I don't know. Anyway, it sounds a little bit similar. That's how I'm going to remember it. To cadge is to beg. Never used that word in my life, or I haven't even seen it even. Intersperse, to place here and there with gaps. It was interspersed throughout. Adverts are interspersed throughout the program. I'm doing pretty well. I've got 100%. I don't know how many words I've done. Probably like 50, but so far 100%. Palpitate is when your heart palpitates. It beats rapidly and irregularly. Heart palpitations. Mendacity is lying. Dishonesty. There you go. Mendacity is dishonesty. If someone lies a lot, you can say that they are mendacious. You can think about how you might remember that, but mendacity means dishonesty. I'm guessing maybe 60% of people get that right. 55%, there you go. It's quite hard. Sophisticated. I think a lot of people will get that right. Complex, subtle, refined. She's very sophisticated. She drinks the finest wine and goes to the finest restaurants and reads high literature. 77% of people got that right. Impugned. That's attacked, challenged, doubted. My integrity was impugned. Her reputation was impugned. It was challenged. It was cast into doubt. Only 48% of people knew that. Baneful. Ooh, that's quite hard. I'm going to go for causing harm or ruin. Pernicious, destructive. A bit like Bane in the movie Batman, right? It's the enemy. It's baneful, it's harmful, it's evil. I'm only about 90% sure of that. Yeah, correct. Articulate. To be very clear, speak distinctly. I try to be articulate in my videos. This could either be a noun or a verb. You could be articulate, the noun, or to articulate clearly is the verb, to speak clearly. Flaunting, to show off, to flaunt something. Mendacious, again, lying. Habitually dishonest, we talked about that. Actually, the previous word was mendacity. This is mendacious. Bit different. Someone who's habitually dishonest is mendacious. Hope you got that right. 69% of people got that right. To fidget, to move restlessly, to be nervous, to fidget. I think a lot of people get that. 69%. To ferret. That's to kind of look for like a ferret does. Kind of searches around, digs a bit, kind of climbs up a tree or whatever a ferret does. They discover by searching. To ferret around in your pockets. Lavish. Ah, look, 44%. That was the lowest one so far. 44%. And I got it. Boom. Lavish is generous or liberal. She was lavish with her praise of the party. Or the banquet was lavish with food. Generous. Smolder, to burn slowly without flame. Sometimes some people talk about a woman, she's got smouldering good looks, kind of like just stunning. Tonic, like a gin and tonic, that's a drink, isn't it? Something giving strength or energy. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I guess a tonic, don't you get that in some video games, like in Zelda or whatever? Like if you drink the tonic, you recover your health. Something giving strength or energy. Okay, a lot of people got that. Perish, to die, to be destroyed. She perished. Chisel, that's the kind of like, to make a statue, isn't it? To kind of cut into the stone. A tool for sharpening materials, a chisel. Asterisk, there you go, that's the mark, that's a little asterisk right there. Heed, to listen to something, to give attention to something. I heeded her wise advice. I listened, I gave attention to it. Repudiate, to disown, to refuse to accept, I think. Ooh, I better check that. To repudiate, to keep, it's not to keep away from, it's not to avoid, it's not to make angry, and it's not fraud. I'm going to go for this one, to refuse to accept it. Usually it's like an argument, isn't it? I repudiated that contention. I kind of destroyed it in argument. I repudiated it. I didn't know it was to disown, to refuse to accept. Could this be my first mistake? No, got it right. Cool. To glean. To gather facts in small quantities. I gleaned some information about my new employer. I gathered facts. I heard it on the grapevine. Only 51% of people knew that. To be irate is to be angry, full of ire. Sordid, wretched. Ooh, better check that. Wretched, comfortless, contemptible. Usually it means like immoral as well. Without refinement or sensitivity, gross. I don't think it's that. Let's go for this. Wretched, it's sordid. Usually you'd say like the red light district in Amsterdam is sordid. Yeah, correct. Only 52% of people got that. An imbroglio, that's a fancy one. I just about know that. Like a complicated, embarrassing situation. Like a debacle or a fiasco. An imbroglio. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but yeah, it's a disaster, an embarrassing situation. I thought I got that right. Imbroglio, no. I thought it was that. Imbroglio is a complicated and embarrassing situation. Oh no, what is an imbroglio? Imbroglio. To be confused, embarrassing situation, that's what I picked, isn't it? That's confusing. Did I just click on the wrong one? I don't know. You'll have to rewind the video, but I thought I clicked on embarrassing situation. Anyway, you can back me up, but I'm pretty sure that is what I picked. Imbroglio is an extremely confused, complicated, or embarrassing situation. A bit like a predicament, an entanglement, a fiasco. They haven't got those words, but yeah, that's what a confused heap. Okay, well anyway, I don't even count that as wrong. I said it was a complicated, embarrassing. Anyway, maybe I just clicked the wrong answer. I say that I'm still on 100%. What do you think? I'm glad you agree. Debacle, just that example I gave. Another word for imbroglio, like a disaster. A sudden disaster. There you go. Mendacious, lying. Sedulous. Ooh, I think persevering. Someone who doesn't give up. They're sedulous. Double check that. I don't think it's disgusting, but I might be wrong. I'm only about 80% sure of this. Ooh, only 36% of people got that right. Boom, headshot. To expurgate, to remove, to get rid of something that you don't like. To expurgate it from you, usually immoral things. 68%. I can't believe 68% of people got that. It's a hard word. Scabbard, that's where you keep your sword. A sheath for a blade. Putrefaction. Or putrefaction? Anyway, to become rotten. It's like putrefying. It's a decaying, like a corpse. Pedantic. Someone who shows off their learning. You know, someone who always corrects you on your grammar. You could say they're a pedant. Having said that, that is me, totally. I always correct my students on their grammar. I wouldn't really say I'm showing off my learning. I'm just you know, pedantic is kind of an attack. Oh, he's just being pedantic. He's just following the rules all the time. Only 56% of people got that. Incise, to make a cut, like an incision, a cut, an engraving. Divergence, to separate off, getting further apart. The two attitudes were full of divergence. They weren't similar at all. Or their lives led to divergence, splitting off. Die is like two, kind of splitting into two. 80% of people got that. Affable, friendly, polite and friendly. Oh, he's an affable chap. Ferocity is savage cruelty, ferocious. Dangle, to dangle something, to swing loosely, like you can dangle a sword or dangle a pen from your fingertips, just swinging it around loosely. Incessant, it never ends, it never ceases. Incessant, it doesn't cease, it's constant. Forswear, to promise not to do something. I renounce that. I disallow that. I forswear it. I definitely won't do that. I forswear drink for this month. Only 57%. Reconcile, we've done, do you remember? To restore peace. To squat, like an exercise. To squat down. To crouch. A riddle. A bit like the first word we did, wasn't it? Conundrum. It's a puzzling person or thing. You can't understand it. Gaucherie is someone who's socially awkward, like me. Tactless behavior. I don't really know that word too well, but I'm pretty sure it's someone who's socially awkward. A gaucherie. There you go. Derivative. I believe this came up in my exam, but it's unoriginal. It's derived from something else. Derivative. Pyra, or pyre, is a fire. Oh wait, no it's not. I always thought it was the fire itself, but a pyre is apparently the wood that you burn. Fair enough. Just double check that. Is pyre the fire or the wood? It's a heap of combustible material, especially for burning a corpse. Wow. Comes from the word fire. There you go. So it's not the fire itself, it's the combustible material that you're going to set aflame. To broach, to bring something up. He broached the subject carefully. She broached the salary requirements very hesitantly. To bring it up hesitantly. Arcane is known or understood by very few. It's an arcane bit of knowledge. Only ancient wizards know about that knowledge, or academics in their ivory towers know this rare formula or this rare fact. It's arcane. Not many people know it. To revere, a bit like to venerate that we saw earlier. To revere is to have deep respect for something. Petrus, I don't know that word. Is this my first genuine mistake? I believe I'm going to get it right just because I know that petroleum comes from rock, like the word Peter means rock from the Bible. So Petrus, I'm guessing, means to be like a rock, hard and stony. A bit like, I think the word ossify, like to be like a rock, to be Petrus. And I was right, boom. Deferential, a bit like to revere or to venerate. To be deferential is to defer to someone, to show respect. Only 45% of people knew that. Did you know it? Inured. This comes up all the time on the GRE. So you'd have thought I'd know it. I thought it meant to be walled in. But I think it also means to be adapted to something, to be accustomed to it. He was inured to the pain. He didn't even feel it anymore. That's interesting. I'll look this one up after. Counterbalance, no. To entangle, no. I was right. So inured, I knew to be walled in. but it's also meaning to be accustomed to something. Okay. Am I wrong about inured being walled in? I'll let you... Dictionary.com is saying that it's to come into use to become beneficial. They're not using the whole to be walled in thing. Oh well, now you know it's to be accustomed to something, to be accustomed to pain and get on with it. Still think I'm right, but anyway. To gnaw, to chew on something, to bite at it. To wince, he winced in pain. To show the pain, your face is just wincing when you are in pain. Coagulation, a bit like amalgamation or accretion. It's bringing together things, usually blood, to coagulate. To change to a thick and solid state. I believe so. It's like bringing together liquids into a solid shape. I'm going to go for that. Correct. To disrobe, to undress. To get rid of your robe, to disrobe. To ramify. That, I believe, is the consequences. Like the ramifications are the consequences of your actions. Bunch of threads to be divided. I think we've found the first word that I don't know. I knew that ramifications meant consequences, but ramify sounds almost like a verb, doesn't it? To solicit customers, votes? I don't think so. To be divided, maybe? A bunch of threads doesn't sound like a noun. Steel tool, I don't think so. I have never heard of ramify meaning to be divided, but that's my best guess. Did I get it right? Yes, that was a complete fluke. I only just got it through context. Ramify. Wow, to divide or spread out into branches. So it's nothing to do with the ramification. That's a completely separate word. To ramify is to be divided or spread out into branches. That's something definitely to add to my word list. Just to show you, ramification, I always thought of it as this definition, the consequence, the implication, but actually is linked to ramify. It's a branch. It's kind of the outcome of what you're doing. There you go. I learned something. I'm still kind of on 100%. If we count that imbroglio situation, I would say I'm still on 100%. Got lucky at least 2 times. Assail, to attack violently, like an assailant. To reverent, to show deep respect, like we saw with the word revere. To be reverent is to feel deep respect. Expedient, we did earlier, likely to be useful for a purpose. Atonement. Atonement is any sort of repayment. They're saying here it's about the death of Jesus, but it could be any repayment. Atoning, you need to atone for your sins. You need to repay what you took. To redeem, to get back. Like to redeem a voucher is to get the money back through goods. Or a redeeming feature is someone who's maybe got some flaws, but their redeeming feature that brings them back into being a cool person is their kindness or their honesty. Trifling is unimportant, like a trifle. It's like a little cake. It's unimportant. It's a trifle. It's trifling. Chaste is pure. I think some people pronounce it chaste, but I think it's chaste. Anyway, pure. Whimsical, full of odd and fanciful ideas. Oh, but then it's got fanciful, fantastic, imaginary. Ooh, that's very close, isn't it? I think this is more of a verb, isn't it? Like, she's very whimsical. He comes up with all these sort of fanciful ideas. Whereas I don't think it means imaginary or fantastic. Whimsical, like a fantasy, imaginary. I don't think so. So I'm going to go for B. And I was right. But yeah, whimsical, full of whims, like random thoughts. Vituperate. I believe that means to make thin and weak, even though that's the same definition of emaciate. Vituperate, I'm not sure. Maybe it's this actually, curse abusing words. You can see I don't really know it too well. Vituperate. It feels maybe more negative than just to make thin. I'm going to go for that. As you can see, I'm not 100% sure. I was right, vituperate. Definitely one to look up. Vituperate. To use or address with harsh or abusive language. Okay, there you go. Parenthesis is brackets. That would be a sentence within another one, something separated, like bracketed off, parentheses. A glut. A glut means loads of something. Like someone's a glutton who wants loads of food. To supply too much, to fill with to excess. Should have had two O's there, too much. Precursors is like a forewarning, something that gives you a premonition before it happens. Something that precedes, comes before. Pre again, before. Nadir is the low point. Like zenith is the high point, nadir is the low point. Only 58% of people knew that. Vain. We've done this one, do you remember it? It's pointless, it's without result, but it's also conceited, believing that you look really good, you're vain. Moribund. I always remember this as mori is like death, and bund is like bound. You're bound to death. You can't avoid it, you're in a dying state, you're moribund. Temperance is abstinence. You're temperate if you avoid things like alcohol and excess junk food. Abstinence from alcohol, self-control, moderation, temperance. It's kind of the opposite of having a temper, isn't it? Plethora. That's loads of something. There was a plethora of options. You could say like a glut, like you've got so much of it, a plethora of options. Just double check this one. It's not the essential part, it's not sensitive. Yeah, plethora. Yeah, I thought a lot of people would get that wrong. Only half of people knew that. To fluster, to be flustered, to be nervous, to make mistakes. Presentiment. You can probably guess this one from the word or the prefix pre. It's a sentiment or a feeling you get before it happens. It's a premonition. There's that pre again. You anticipate the fear. You have a presentiment. Disconcerted or disconcert. This is bad, so it's like a bad feeling. That would be to upset the self-possession of. Kind of like being upset, I guess, disconcerted. Let's double check the other ones, take the place of, spread. No. To be upset, to be disconcerted, to be troubled. To elicit, to draw out. She elicited praise for her work. She drew out praise from the audience. Burnish, to polish, to make it shine. He burnished his CV with the voluntary work. Scurvy is a kind of disease, isn't it? I always thought scurvy meant a disease. To entangle the state of affairs, I don't think so. Stubborn? Maybe. Mean, contemptible? Maybe. Fearful? I have no idea. This is definitely going to be my first true mistake, I think. Stubborn, scurvy, what does it even sound like? I can't even think of any sort of etymology to help me out. Scurvy, I mean, I know it's that disease, but apart from that, what does it sound like? Scurvy, sounds a bit like scared, maybe? Fearful, timid? Mean, sounds a bit like mean though as well. I'm going to go for fearful, timid, but I have no idea. Wrong. Ouch. My first wrong one that I think was genuinely wrong. Only 37%. That was the lowest, wasn't it? Or was there? I think there was a 36%. Scurvy means mean and contemptible. So that's obviously one I need to add to my thing. So it is the disease, like I said, a disease marked by swollen and bleeding gums, but it's also contemptible, despicable, mean. A scurvy trick. I never would have known that. Damn. Oh well, almost got there, but I'm only human. A drawl is a slow way of speaking, like a southern drawl. A debacle is the disaster. We've seen that one. Introspection is looking inside. Spect is kind of like looking, spectacles. Intro is inside, so looking inside yourself for new thoughts, new ideas. Examining one's own thoughts and feelings. 91% of people got that. To broach, we've done this one. To bring up the subject. Disrobe, we've done that one. To hush, to make or become silent, to hush the babies crying. Shrewd is someone who's astute, smart, showing sound judgment. She is a shrewd negotiator. Portent, that is an omen. There's good portents around. Not a word you use very often these days, but it's a good omen, a good portent. Salubrious is good for your health. I don't know how you'd remember that, but salubrious is something that's good for your health. Too talkative, that's a word that sounds similar, garrulous, someone who talks too much, but salubrious is good for your health. Something that's changeable and fickle is capricious, which again sounds similar, but good for your health is salubrious. Inimical. I remember that word from learning that as a teenager. I wrote that in one of my short novels that I wrote. Inimical is harmful or unfriendly. I always thought it meant like evil, but I don't think it's causing fear and formidable. It's more harmful, evil. Correct. To bandy about, to discuss lightly. She bandied her ideas around. To just be glib, to discuss it very lightly, informally. Apprehensive, to be worried, to be feeling fear and unhappy. Interestingly, they're doing the other definition here, where to apprehend something is to understand it, to grasp it. But normally to be apprehensive means to be feeling fearful or unhappy about the future. Dulcet, melodious, harmonious. Her dulcet voice sounds lovely. Incise, we've done that. That's to show, to engrave, to make a cut, like an incision. Epitome, he is the epitome of charm. That would be a typical model. Kind of he sums up what it is to be charming. The epitome of charm. I didn't know it also meant a brief summary. That's the epitome of the novel. Haven't heard it being used in that way. To fixate, to focus on something, to stare at it. Fixate doesn't just have to be staring though, it can be just being focused on one thing. He was fixated on his goal. To have pluck, to have courage. Oh, but also, as well as to have pluck, which means to have courage, that's a secondary definition. Of course, it also means to pluck, to take out the feathers of something, or to pick it up. To pluck some flowers, or to pluck the duck. Implosion. One of my favorite words, actually. So an explosion goes out, like a grenade explodes. An implosion comes in. It doesn't happen as often. Have you seen certain things like when you suck the air out of a can and it just kind of shrinks in on itself? That's an implosion. It's bursting inwards. Arisen. I don't know what that is. Arisen. Don't think it's someone who considers themselves smarter than others. Could be a prayer, but I never heard of it, so probably not a prayer. Arisen. Sorry, not even arisen, it's arisen. To fall back again? Feels more like a verb, suspended action. I'm going to go for that because that sounds like a noun. It's either prayer or suspended action. An arisen. Suspended action, like a delayed action, is it? Damn, arisen or orison is a prayer. Okay, I was wrong. Orison, that's another one to add to my list. Orison is a prayer. Okay, there you go. Never heard of that, but that is what it is. an orison, a prayer. That's 2 completely wrong, or 3 technically. Supersede, to take the place of. Her new efforts superseded her earlier ones. They took the place, they replaced because they were better usually. Super, beyond, or better. Palpability is palpable, you can feel it. It can be felt or touched, it's palpable. You can feel its palpability. Picaresque. Ooh, I believe that's clever rogues, adventurous. A bit like Don Quixote, someone who goes around having adventures like a clever rogue or villain. Picaresque. Not quite sure how you'd remember that, but there you go. Only 43% of people knew that. Mercurial. Unpredictable, quick and changeable. Can't see where it's going, it's mercurial. I guess like you can't see the planet Mercury. It changes in the sky all the time, so it's mercurial. To savor something, to taste it. Let's savor your meal. Let's taste it carefully and take your time over it. Consequential, full of ramifications. Very important. Pompous, not really. Irritable, no. Muddy, no. Like a sea constitution of sauce. Originative. I guess in the sense of originative, like it originates loads of things, like loads of things happen as a consequence. Oh, I was wrong. No. That's the lowest percentage. 30% of people got that. My third mistake, consequential. I knew it meant important, but not pompous. Does it mean that? Consequential. Her actions were very consequential. They were important. Yeah, they followed on. They were of consequence important. Wow, it was the 4th definition down I had to know. Pompous. Oh, she's consequential. She's so pompous. She thinks so much of herself. I would not have known that. I never thought consequential meant as an insult. You're consequential. You're so self-important. You believe so much about yourself that you're so pompous. You're so up yourself. Wow. Okay, that's my 4th or 5th mistake, depending on how you're counting it. Only 30%. That would have been amazing to get that right. Anyway, pulchritude. Very hard one, but it's physical beauty. Pulchritudinous. So beautiful, so pulchritudinous. 61% of people got that. That's amazing. To wag your tail. Uh-oh. A wag, I think, might also mean a merry person. Oh, he's a nice old wag. Merry person. But I don't know. A steel tool for shaping materials to join together. It's all falling apart here, isn't it? I was doing so well up until about minute 40. Let's go for that. Oh, correct. Only 34% of people knew that. It's a light-hearted, merry or happy person. Efficacy, effectiveness or efficiency. She's very efficacious. She gets things done. She produces the desired result. Efficacy, efficient, effective. Gourmand, someone who loves fine food. Maybe a bit too much fine food. They eat too much and drink too much. A gourmand. Decry, to disapprove of. I decried this new law. I disapproved of it very harshly. Apostate, someone who abandons their religion. Apostasy. Expostulate, to argue earnestly to dissuade someone or protest. I believe, to use in a wrong way to help or encourage somebody in doing wrong. Don't think so. I think it means to argue your case, usually against something else. Correct. To expostulate against something else. To argue against something else. Having lots of guile means being deceiving, being cunning, being smart, but kind of being shrewd, but usually in a negative way, like being cunning. Reticence, reluctance. You're not willing to do something. You have a lot of reticence. Now, this definition is not using that example. It's saying uncommunicativeness, which I guess is similar. You're not communicating, you're not saying anything, you're reticent, you're reluctant. I always think of it more as being reluctant. Reticence, let's double check that. The state of being reserved, reluctant to speak freely. There you go, restraint. You're getting an extra definition with me. Pith is the essential part. Was it keen, quick, accurate? Because the word I do know is pithy. Like that's a short, brief remark. But keen, quick, it's kind of like witty. Pithy is being witty. Keen, quick, accurate insight. I don't know the word pith, basically. It could be the essential part, but I don't think soft liquid. I think probably more this one. Keen, quick, accurate. Oh, another one. No, it is the essential part. I was thinking of pithy. So pithy is full of vigor, substance, witty. But pith is the soft, spongy inner part. I never knew that. There you go. Wow. Falling apart here, but you're gonna have to forgive me for all these mistakes, but you're probably catching up anyway. I still managed to get 100% in the GRE verbal, so it shows you don't need a perfect vocabulary to get that score. Almost at an end. Let's try and end on a high. No more mistakes. Brash. To be hasty, cheeky, saucy, false, counterfeit. I think this one, to be brash, is to be a bit rude. I think. Let's go with that. Correct, thank goodness. A libertine is someone who takes liberties. They're immoral. They do what they want. Rift is a split. It's a separation. There was a rift between husband and wife, a big separation. To forestall is to prevent, to stop it happening before. There's that kind of suffix for, before it happens. Gonna forestall it. Sublime is amazing, godly. That would be astounding. Not really an accurate definition here. I would say it's more like beyond human. It's just incredible, astounding. Palpable, similar to palpability, you can feel it. That would be obvious. It's not a great definition again. I would say palpable, let's just check that, is more palpable. How do you spell that? Palpable. It's more, yeah, readily seen. Well, they're kind of saying obvious. I guess capable of being touched, that's a secondary definition. You can feel it, it's tangible. But they're saying obvious. Okay, that's fine. To constrain, to stop it happening. That would be, to bring under control. Her actions were constrained. She wasn't able to do what she wanted. She was controlled. Oh my goodness. Constrain means to compel. Okay, getting loads wrong here now. Constrain means to compel. Really? Constrained. Maybe I'm thinking restrained. I was thinking restrained. No, I was also thinking constrained. Because look, to confine forcibly as by bonds. To restrain. So I was right as well, wasn't I? To constrain doesn't really mean to be controlled, so I guess I shouldn't have said that. To compel someone. Right, so this is a great test, by the way, of advanced vocabulary, because sometimes it's testing secondary or tertiary definitions. Even though I know the word constrain means to be confined and not allowed to do what you want, I didn't know it meant to force someone to do something, to compel them. So I'm learning extra definitions, and this is probably one of the key takeaways of this video. You can know a word, maybe even know its secondary definition, but if you don't know all of its main 3 or 4 definitions, you don't fully know the word, and so you might get it wrong in the GRE. It's always good to know the secondary or tertiary definitions of a word. Okay, let's do 5 more. To gouge, to cut out. That would be, I guess, a tool for cutting grooves in wood. I always think of gouging as cutting something out. So that would be, I guess, a tool for cutting grooves in wood. Correct, thank goodness. Temperate. We covered a very similar word earlier. That's someone who, well, that's showing self-control. The opposite of having a temper. Discomfort. It's to cause discomfort is a bit like we saw earlier with being disconcerted. You're a bit confused, you're a bit embarrassed, you're uncomfortable, a bit discomforted. Spurious. This reminds me of a word that came up in my real exam. It's false counterfeit. It's not genuine. It's a spurious rumor. It's not a real thing that happened. It's just a spurious rumor. It didn't actually happen. It's false. To coin a phrase, it's fake news. It's spurious. It's a fraud. Presage. I think you might get that one because of this bit here, pre. It comes before. It's an omen, a warning sign. A bit like some of the other words we saw, portent. It's a warning. Expostulate. That we definitely saw before. So let's not end on that one. That's to argue earnestly, to dissuade or correct someone. Okay, belabor. Last one. To belabor the point is to, come on, can't get this wrong. To be discontented with, to remove obscenity, purify, to beat hard. I think it may be this, because it's kind of like, that's labored the point. To belabor the point, isn't that similar? Oh, I'm not gonna, I think it kind of means that, because it's not, I don't think it's any of the others. Yes. Okay, so to belabor the point, I spell it in the English way, but there's the American way, without the U. To belabor, to explain repeatedly or more than is necessary. I think to beat hard, that's the third definition. I wouldn't have got that without knowing the first definition, but apparently it also means to beat something with heavy blows. But I think of it as belaboring the point. That's where you hear the word the most often. Just repeating it. You're saying it too much, okay? We all get the point. You belabored your point. And there we go. That was a lot of words. I don't know. Obviously lost track. Could be 200 words, maybe more, 300 words. Hopefully at least 100 that you could add to your vocab list. Feel free to do this test yourself. It's a tough one. There's over 1,300 words apparently on this challenge, so you can try it for several hours until you get to words that are going to repeat all the time. So you can definitely add a huge number of words to your vocabulary. Again, the website is gre.graduateshotline.com. I think in the end I got about 6 or 7 wrong. I lost track a little bit. Definitely fell apart towards the end. I was doing so well up until about minute 40, but I'm not too embarrassed. I've learned, call it 10 new words that I wasn't 100% sure on, because I got a bit lucky a couple of times. That's 10 new words for my vocabulary that I'm going to add to my word list now, and that's words I now know for the rest of my life. That's a wonderful opportunity, and I hope you learned some new words too.
Wow, that was absolutely epic. For those of you who reached the end, so much thank you, and I should be thanking you. You don't even have to leave me a like. I thank you for watching this long. You're amazing. I really hope it helped your vocabulary. I hope you've added over 100 new words to your vocabulary. Please do let me know, and have a wonderful day.